If you compare beer with bratwurst,
and cheese with wine,
or even whiskey
with donuts,
then we think you can pair all of these delicious drinks with
murder,
conspiracies,
missing persons,
and more.
Drink with us as you feed your craving for true crime and creepy stories.
Okay, perfectly paired with. Back with another episode. And this one's a fun one. This one's a patriotic one because we are celebrating our independence. 4th of July. Fun holiday. It's one of our favorites in this household. We go crazy with decorations. My lovely wife, Catherine, also known as Katie, is over here. She does a great job decorating our yard. Takes me a little while to pull everything out so I can mow the lawn and put it all back. But, you know, it's worth the sacrifice. So, Katie, what do you have for us today? Oh, by the way, I'm Jason. Go ahead.
So on July 4th, 1776, the Second Continental Congress ratified the Declaration of Independence, making the United States, as of at least its own declaration, a free and independent country. Every year on the 4th of July, people here in America celebrate our independence from Great Britain and the birth of this great nation. Usually, these July 4th celebrations are fun festivities filled with family, friends, food, and fireworks. For one young lady, however, in 2001, July 4th fun led to something incredibly terrifying. When Megan Barosso left to watch fireworks on the beach with her friends, she had no idea it would end in a high-speed car chase and shots being fired at her car from an AK-47. And that for weeks, no one would have any idea what happened to a young woman just looking to celebrate America's birthday.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. What year did you say this happened?
2001.
Excellent. Cool. Well, perfect story for a perfect story that pairs perfectly with a holiday, and we have a drink that pairs perfectly with both of those. Today we went with a drink called Patriotic Punch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bunch of peas.
Yeah, a lot of
perfectly
peas.
paired with Patriotic Punch.
Save that 10 times. We got a punch bowl over here that I will refill our drinks as we go. And so simply I took this recipe off the back of a Smirnoff vodka bottle. But it's a special Smirnoff vodka. Mm-hmm. They roll it out every summer. I mean, you can get it year round, but they have, double the amount every summer. Called Red, White, and Berry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a vodka that's obviously berry flavored. It's pretty low in alcohol content, so won't get you too crazy. You can take plenty of shots of them and not feel like you're going to die the next day, except from all the sugar and dehydration.
Yeah. Now, we have had the vodka, but we've never actually made the punch.
No.
So as you and I taste it, will be absolutely the first time.
First time.
We'll give honest.
Yeah. And it's simply
remarks.
Pink lemonade mixed with red, white, and berry Smirnoff vodka. Garnished with a lemon and some strawberries.
It looks lovely. Lovely and fancy.
I know. It makes me want to... I wish we could record this outside.
Mm-hmm. That's just delicious.
Oh, yeah.
It's very refreshing, very tasty.
Oh, my. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of just
delicious.
Like a berry lemonade. I taste almost no vodka at all.
It just seems to flavor the lemonade with a slight hint of berry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta definitely not have that.
It's going to be a dangerous one
around the kids. That's for sure. Because if they accidentally try that, they'll have no idea.
I deem it delightful.
Else. I do too. I love this. I suggest everyone listening, give it a try.
Yeah.
Go find red, white, and berry Smirnoff vodka and just follow the instructions on the back, which is like 2 things.
Well, a drink called Patriotic Punch is perfectly paired with a couple of podcasters who are unapologetically patriotic, as one of them tells a tale of true crime that took place starting July 4th and into July 5th. So on July 4th, 2001, Megan Barosso, a 20-year-old part-time college student living in Moon Park, California, celebrated the holiday by enjoying a family barbecue. As night fell, she grabbed her green jacket that had orange trim and headed to Silver Strand Beach, where she would join her friend Lindsay Gross and other high school friends to watch fireworks over the water. Lindsay, in the spirit of the holiday, sprinkled red glitter into Megan's dark hair, which seemed to complement the white capri pants she had chosen to wear for the occasion. While Megan was at the beach, a specific young man did try to flirt with her, but according to Lindsay, Megan had no interest in returning similar attention. At around 10:30 p.m., when the fireworks had ended, both Megan and Lindsay headed to a friend's apartment in Newbury Park to hang out. When it was clear that the night was winding down, Lindsay asked Megan if she wanted to stay at her place for the night, but Megan declined. So at around 2:45 a.m. on July 5th, Megan got into her car and began the roughly 15-mile drive back to her home. Megan's car would be discovered straddling a concrete divider underneath a highway overpass just 70 minutes later. There was a large side swipe on the driver's side of the vehicle. The vehicle was also speckled with 6 bullet holes, 1 on the hood of the car, 3 through the front windshield, and 1 through the driver's side door. The 6th bullet went through the back door on the passenger side. There was blood on the seat, steering wheel, and gear shift. Megan's purse and phone were left in the vehicle, as well as one of the sandals she had been wearing, indicating that she most likely had been pulled from the vehicle. In addition to the blood and Megan's items, investigators recovered shell casings, all of which had a green tint to them, and a cleaning rod that would have come from a rifle, all laying near the vehicle. Ventura County ballistics would eventually conclude that the shell casings came from an AK-47 assault rifle. But Megan was nowhere to be found, and the circumstances surrounding the various clues were unknown and baffling to investigators. Detective Tim Lorenzen with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office recalled thinking, quote, "We knew she was injured fairly significantly because of the amount of blood we found," end quote. And therefore, the first response from the responding officers was simply to find the injured, missing woman. But by the 6th of July, when there was no sign of Megan anywhere, investigators turned their attention to those who were last to see her alive. But after speaking to each of them, including the young man who seemed interested in Megan at the beach, investigators cleared each one due to the alibis they provided. By the 10th, investigators had assessed the data recorder from Megan's car. Now, a data recorder is similar to like a black box in an airplane. And according to the information recorded that night, just before the car wound up on the median, it had been tracked at traveling at an extremely high rate of speed, making investigators confident that Megan had been chased or pursued by another vehicle.
So this data recorder's in a car?
Mm-hmm. Don't you remember from our Susan Morphew case? The data recorded like his truck reversing right before midnight.
Yeah, and I probably said the same thing I'm going to say right now. What the hell?
Yeah.
Just recording everything we're doing in the car?
Yep.
I'm sure it's after like any car made after a certain year,
yeah.
But that's like, good and weird.
Yeah. But regardless of the information from the data recorder or the evidence from the scene, investigators were stuck without any real lead to follow. So Megan's family and friends had no answers really as to what happened to her.
Weird.
And on the night of July 4th, 2001, when Megan headed out to celebrate Independence Day, I have no idea if she had any idea that a man known as the Simi Valley Rapist had been hunting, kidnapping, and sexually assaulting young ladies for the past 5 years. And he was doing it less than 13 miles from her home. Now, most of the Simi Valley Rapist victims were teenagers and younger ladies, all with dark hair, just like Megan. Many of the victims had woken to a masked man who had gained entry into their homes by prying off window screens or slipping in through an unlocked door. Each had been taken by this masked man back to his home, all except one who was taken to a dirt trail, and it was there that they were sexually assaulted. One woman would later testify to this chilling tale. She had awoken to a noise in her bedroom, and when she was able to focus her eyes, she saw the blade of a knife sticking between her bedroom door and the door jamb. And this blade was moving its way towards the hook and eye lock, which was the only thing standing between her and whoever was holding the knife. And despite frantically trying to dial for help, the man was able to rush into her room and, holding the same knife blade to her throat, he forced the young lady into a hallway where there was an open window, and it was through this open window that he tried to pull the young woman. Luckily for her, after screaming, her mother came running to help, and this additional presence was enough to scare the masked man away.
Why does her bedroom have an eye lock?
A teenager? I don't know.
Is that one of those?
Yeah,
it's
the
like
little...
the chain. Oh no!
It's like a solid metal piece that just clinks
over
into a hole, like a circle.
Yeah, like a little.
Yeah, hook. So she can do teenager-y things without having to worry about her mom coming in.
Gross.
It could be a lot of different things.
Be. My mind went to gross.
Now,
you should take a drink, by the way. You're just on a roll over there.
I know. This story is crazy. So.
Yeah, take your drink. I'll fill in with Phil words.
Well, this story is going to give you, what was that Australian story I told? Mr. Cruel vibes.
Ooh, cool.
Now, one of the tactics this man would use to get compliance from his victims was to threaten members of the victims' families if the girls wouldn't cooperate. And he would mention specific people. Like to one victim, he specifically targeted her grandmother, which wouldn't be an obvious choice, except she did have a grandmother who was incredibly close to her. One of the creepier details these women would later testify to during a grand jury hearing was that during the assaults, the man would take sexual photos, and for most of the photos, he would keep the victims' heads covered by a hood. And when the assaults were done, the man would try to soothe the victims by cuddling with them and speaking affirming or encouraging words.
Oh, my goodness. What's the age ranges on, obviously, we
teenagers to young ladies.
Okay.
Now, the final attack perpetrated by the Simi Valley Rapist took place on July 9th, so after the disappearance of Megan. But Megan's case was not immediately connected to these crimes because there were just too many differences. Then on July 26th, a man named Vincent Sanchez was arrested for burglarizing his neighbor's house. While he was in custody for the burglary, he decided to make a call to one of his roommates. During this call, Sanchez made an interesting request. He needed his roommate to locate and then dispose of a bag filled with personal items. Now, I have a question for you, because you're a pretty loyal friend, and your roommates have always been like your best friends. As a roommate, what would you have done per this request?
I would have done it for him, but I probably am also very snoopy, so I probably would have looked in the bag. What? And then it would depend on who it is.
Good answer. Well, this roommate decided to look in the bag, and what he discovered were videotapes. Lots and lots of videotapes showing sexual assaults on multiple women. The roommate then decided to call investigators, and he reported what he found to police officers.
So he did.
He found the bag.
He basically did what I said.
And
he was like, "Yeah, I'll do that for you."
And he probably was like, "I don't know, Sanchez, we're not that close."
I've only known you for so long, dude. Pictures were in the bag, I'm guessing.
According to the information I read, this was just videotapes.
Oh.
So maybe he kept the pictures elsewhere.
Interesting. I mean, maybe he was taking Well, no. Back then, there was a big difference between taking a video and pictures because it wasn't with your camera, or with your phone camera.
But you can take a video without somebody knowing you're taking a video. You can't really take photographs without somebody knowing you're taking photographs, which is why I think the girls reported being photographed.
Yeah.
I don't know if they knew they were being recorded.
Yeah, maybe they are kept somewhere else. And I'm sure you're going to say it, but I am very curious. Were those videotapes, did they have any of the girls that they've been talking to so far, or that have come forward?
Yes. Yep. So the investigators using the tapes and the testimony given by the women on the tapes learned that Sanchez, before kidnapping many of the victims, he would actually stalk them in order to learn their names. And in one of the videotapes, he had hidden, actually taped a 15-year-old girl changing in her bedroom, to give you an idea on age range.
Oh, man.
Now, when detectives later questioned this roommate for more information, they inquired about a possible AK-47. And wouldn't you know it, Sanchez's roommate did in fact own an AK-47 and had said that Sanchez borrowed the rifle at some point and returned it without a cleaning rod. Now,
so it was his roommate's rifle.
Yes.
And without a cleaning rod.
Yes, because he had left that.
I don't know enough about AKs. I'm curious, do they get that dirty that you should always just have your cleaning rod?
I have no idea.
It's very strange.
I didn't even think to look into it.
He left it around the car, either super sloppy, or all I'm imagining is old style militia, just cleaning out the gun before you can shoot it.
1776 style.
Yeah, exactly. Good old Civil War era. I don't understand the cleaning rod.
I don't, but I think it's a pretty big clue.
Yeah.
When you find one next to a vehicle where a girl is injured and missing. And it had been borrowed by a man who has been kidnapping and raping women.
Have you said how old Sanchez is?
He was 30 when he was arrested.
Boy.
He's just a 30-year-old guy. I think one article called him a carpenter, an out-of-work carpenter.
He's just trying to make it in life. And,
just
internet porn is not enough for him. So he's got to go do his messed up stuff.
Now, all of this was enough for a warrant. And when police searched Sanchez's residence and vehicle, they found an orange trimmed green jacket, just like the one Megan wore to watch the fireworks. And this jacket had a bullet hole in it. And when the roommate's rifle was taken into evidence to be processed, a flake of red glitter was discovered inside.
So he probably had to set the rifle in the car for a second, then pull her out. How would that even get there?
That is a great question. One of my sources was a Forensic Files, which if you'd like to watch it later, they go into much more detail than I'm going to go into.
Okay.
Now, similar glitter was found on the front seat and back seat of Sanchez's truck. Blood was also discovered in the interior of his truck. When the glitter was compared to the glitter Lindsay had sprinkled into Megan's hair the night of the 4th, it matched. And despite having Sanchez in custody with enough evidence tying him to the kidnapping and sexual assaults in Simi Valley and the attack on Megan Barosso, Megan's family still had no answers as to where Megan was. That was until August 3rd. Nearly 1 month since Megan disappeared, a search team found a body at the bottom of a rocky ravine south of Simi Valley. These remains would ultimately be identified as Megan due to a clada ring, which are those rings that have the heart and the hands and the crown. They're very popular. Look it up.
All right. We had a break there for a second. Our son came in, and while we braked, Katie showed me what is it called? Clada ring. Mm-hmm. Saying I for sure will know it when I see it. No, I have no idea. Never seen one of those.
You've never seen one?
No.
I feel like 1 in every 7 girls in high school had a clada ring. Somehow I think they're maybe tied to like Irish culture. I don't know.
My high school is very small, and maybe that just wasn't one of the trends there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, they had to use this clattering to identify Megan because her remains were incredibly decomposed. They were actually so decomposed that they couldn't even perform a sexual assault exam that would in any way like render valid findings.
And where did they find the body?
So one article I found said it was like at the bottom of a dump site. And then another one said it was at the bottom of a rocky ravine south of the Simi Valley.
Those are two very different places. Dump site being like a trash dump?
See, that's what I thought. And then when I read a rocky ravine, I thought of the bus stop from Yellowstone. Isn't that what, or the, what do they call it?
No, the train station.
The train station. Yeah, that's what I thought of. She got taken to the train station. This bottom of a rocky ravine.
Yeah. There's no other murders tied to this guy, right?
No.
So something probably went wrong.
We're going to talk about it.
All right, let's do it.
But despite not being able to do like a sexual assault exam, Megan's remains were missing the white pair of capri pants that she had been wearing, indicating that a sexual assault most likely had taken place.
Right.
Now, Megan's cause of death would be determined to be a gunshot wound to her abdomen. So, while being held on 14 separate sexual assault charges, I guess he was 31, 31-year-old Vincent Henry Sanchez was charged with murder. Sanchez did plead guilty to the 14 sexual assaults, but it would take a trial for Sanchez to be found guilty of murder. And when he was found guilty of murder with special circumstances, that being the sexual assault, making him eligible for the death penalty, which he was sentenced to in July of 2003.
Oh, wow. I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Yeah, I guess it wasn't important. Sorry. Bad radio.
Do you want to know what happened on July 4th, 2001?
Sure, tell me.
So Sanchez was home, drinking beers and hanging out with his neighbors and his half-brother. According to those who spent time with him that holiday, he didn't seem to be stressed and he wasn't acting unusual in any way.
This is 2001?
This is the night that Megan goes missing. While Megan watched fireworks over the water, Sanchez watched them with his neighbors. Then, during the wee hours of the morning on July 5th, Sanchez got into his dark green Ford Ranger. And I don't know whether he took the AK-47 with him for the first time that night or he simply had it in his vehicle from a previous occasion. But that early morning, Sanchez drove armed with an assault rifle. Now, there are a lot of questions about Sanchez's intentions that night that I couldn't find answers to.
Say something.
You want me to stop?
It's just a rifle.
Redundantly saying.
Assault rifle? Yeah. All rifles assault. Or can assault. They assault something, whether it's a target, a paper target.
I like
or
that it sounds more menacing
deer.
to say assault rifle because it makes it seem...
Well, in AK-47, you can say an automatic. I don't know if there's any AKs that aren't automatic. Maybe they can be changed, but that's why they're not available to us. Like, they were legal until I think somewhere in the late 80s, and then I should probably double check this, but they did get banned, and then there was a time where I think they took off that ban and then they put it back on. It's never been lifted again. But anyway, it's an automatic. You can say automatic rifle.
You know what? I'm probably just going to say it how it's written, but I take your recommendation under advisement.
I knew it.
So,
although that one I thought maybe you would be like, yeah, no, because you don't like that either.
No, I don't, but I also don't think it's something that changes the story that I'm telling. So it doesn't actually matter.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to take that out. That was an incredibly awkward moment.
Yeah, it was. Let's do it
now.
Should we?
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. I concur.
Oh, thank you. First time.
Ever. Now, when Sanchez left that night, there were quite a few questions about what his intentions were, and there aren't any real clear answers. For one, why did he choose Megan? Was he driving around and choosing another victim? Because that really wasn't his pathology for choosing victims. Also, was she one of the women who he had stalked beforehand, or was she simply just a victim of opportunity?
Yeah, it does. So he goes to trial, right?
He does.
Does he admit
doesn't testify.
how anything goes? I mean, I would have to guess that I would lean towards he has stalked her before, and maybe she's noticed him, and like this is another time, and maybe he tried to grab her and she got away, so he had to use the AK. Like, it's extremely, even though what he's doing is very violent, it's extremely violent. He chases her down, right, in a car, like a car chase.
What
he said that
think,
the intro, and to shoot at her car, and there's the way the bullets go. It's like he's at the front and walks around and shoots.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
See, and I'm inclined to think it was the latter option, which is just that she was a victim of opportunity. In one of my sources, it said she was actually driving a rental car. So it's not even like he could have recognized her vehicle. And for him to know where she was at 2:45 a.m. on July 5th, that just to me isn't plausible. So I think he went out. His intention was to do exactly what he did every other night, which was to break into a home. And then he sees this beautiful young lady with dark brown hair driving in a car. And he is like, nope, that's the one.
It's so strange. I mean, unless he was at a stoplight right next to her, I guess you could look over and see. Outside of that, it's kind of hard to tell what anybody looks like. Like,
True.
Like seeing beauty through just like driving, past someone, next to someone, anything like that. Like, you don't actually know exactly how somebody looks.
I'm going to shout out my brother because he does listen to our podcast and he tells everybody about it. So this is my way of saying thank you. When he was in high school, he was at a red light, and some young lady pulled up next to him. And she was just completely staring at him, that she ran into the car in front of her. And her exact words were, guess that's what I get for looking at you. So it's possible, I guess.
Was he working at the time?
No, he was in high school.
Oh, yeah, you said high school.
Yeah,
he
was a young kid. Must have been after his junior year. Before that, he wasn't much to look at. But his junior year, he really blossomed.
When puberty fully hit, finished.
Yes, but he's married, ladies, so please don't DM us for his contact. Now, here is what investigators think happened that night between Megan and Sanchez. So after noticing the young dark-haired woman driving alone on what most likely was pretty nearly deserted streets, Sanchez tried to force Megan off the road. This is when the side swipe on the driver's side of the vehicle happened. When Megan refused to pull over, which, young ladies listening, that's exactly what you should do, is not pull over. Sanchez maneuvered his vehicle to the opposite side, and that's when he shot the first bullet into the passenger side back seat.
So he's doing this from in his car.
Yeah. Well, the first one. When this did not stop Megan, Sanchez pulled well in front of her vehicle. He got out of his and waited for her approaching car. Standing 60-ish feet in front of the vehicle, Sanchez shot his first bullet. That is the one that hit the, front hood of the car. Then 2 more shots were shot, each from, a closer distance, indicating that either he was walking towards her car stopped or that she was actually approaching him in her car.
So they don't know if she was actually still driving when he's shooting at her.
They don't know for sure.
Because that's what I'm trying to, in my mind, play out the scene. So
I think they think she continued to drive until the final shot came. And this is for the last shot through her driver's side door, he maneuvered to like the side of her vehicle and then shot through her door. And that's the one that entered her abdomen.
But yeah.
And I misspoke. There were 4 shots in the front, each one progressively like showing that they were shot closer.
Okay, so there's one shot, like he's facing the opposite. They're going the opposite directions.
No, the whole time. So
the whole time
they're driving
next
this
to each
way.
other.
He sideswipes her. She doesn't get over. He gets around to her other side, shoots in the back seat. I think maybe trying to scare her. She still doesn't pull over. He speeds out in front of her, gets out of his vehicle, waits for her to come, and that's when he shoots the front vehicle in the hood and the windshield. And then as she's passing him, he gets to the side, shoots one through her driver's side door, and that's the one that goes into her abdomen. Ugh. And that's when she stops driving.
If that's the way it played out, she should have done one of 2 things. One, run his ass over.
Yeah, seriously.
Of course, then he's probably going to be shooting into your windshield. As you do that, you're going to die doing it. The other is slam on the brakes and go the opposite direction.
Around.
I don't care if you're on the highway. You get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, and I think they said something. It was kind of like at the base of an off-ramp or an on-ramp, so maybe she didn't think she could do that, but I would say getting a ticket and the attention of a police officer is better than what happened to Megan.
Road rules don't apply when someone is trying to kill you.
Yes. Well, having finally stopped Megan's car, Sanchez pulled her from her vehicle and put her in his truck. And that's where we get the blood evidence and the red glitter. At some point, he sexually assaults Megan. Even though he never admitted it, they felt very confident. The jury felt confident because of her missing white capris.
I almost wonder if he did it to her dead body.
Which he could be, because we're going to talk about how long she could have survived.
Yeah.
And then he dumps her body. And according to the coroner, Megan could have survived just minutes.
Oh, wow.
Or possibly even hours before the internal bleeding from that gunshot wound to her abdomen would have killed her.
That's right. Like a stab or a shot to your stomach is lethal unless you get it taken care of right away.
Then Sanchez returned home and so I'm assuming she lived longer than minutes, because when he got home, he had noticeable scratches on his face. So she clearly fought back. Days after, Sanchez seemed incredibly withdrawn. After her death, he would just stay in his room, only coming out at night, but obviously coming out long enough to continue attacking at least one other woman. Now, when California declared the death penalty unconstitutional, Sanchez's death sentence was commuted to life in prison, where every year on the 4th of July, he will spend the birthday of this country that promises liberty and justice for all, behind bars, without delicious barbecue food, family, friends, freedom, or fireworks. Because, for the sake of justice, he has absolutely lost his liberty. Now, I know you think we are done, but we are not. We are going to stop recording this episode and start a short bonus episode in the vein of July 4th and the founding of our country. I have picked the drink, and this story is one that needs to be told. It involves one of the founding fathers. And for those non-American listeners, founding fathers are the men who get credit for winning a revolution and establishing the United States as an independent and free country, and 1,200 bone fragments belonging to 15 different people discovered in the basement of his home.
America.